there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Today, as usual, we're going to start off with our 110 pound Nina Solar White card base and an 80 pound card front. Now I'm going to be using this die here. Now this is a massive die set from Alina Crafts and it makes up this little kind of drawers, little boxes and things, but I'm just going to be simply using this one little paint tube here. Well, to me it looks like a paint tube anyway. So what I did is I die cut it out 10 times out of some, I think it's fog coloured cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, but any kind of light grey cardstock is great. And then I cut 10 out of some silver mirror cardstock and then 10 from each colour of the rainbow. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the grey one as my base, and you can see there it's got all these wee lines, so it makes it really easy to know where to cut. And at first I thought I was going to have the top and the bottom be the silver, but actually in the end I just end up having the kind of cap of the paint tube be silver. So all I do is cut off the little pieces so that I've got the colour in the middle, then add a little bit more. As I said, I did this one, the top and the bottom for the silver mirror cardstock, but for the rest of them I'm only going to do the top, and I end up taking the little bottom part off this one because it didn't look quite right. So for the rest of them I just put them on the top. But yeah, I really enjoy paper piecing things together. So to me this looks like a cute little paint tube, and whereas, I mean, I guess with fussy cutting, I do not love fussy cutting. I am happy to do it, but I'm very selective of the images that I will choose to fussy cut. Whereas paper piecing, I really love doing. So this to me was not at all tedious, and it doesn't take long at all once you kind of get into the kind of swing of things. So in a minute, I am going to fast forward through this because you well and truly get the idea of how to do it. And as I said, the lines that the die cuts into it makes it really easy to cut everywhere and have them all looking identical. So that part is super easy. While I've got a second, I thought I would just quickly say that if you are keen to show me some of your creations and the versions of my cards that you guys make and put together, please come and join our Facebook group. The link will be in the description box down below. I love to see all of your creations, so that is an easy place that you can share them with me and the rest of the group. We have an amazing supportive group over there, so come and join us if you'd like to. And also I will do my best to have all of the links to the things that I've used in this video down in the description box below. It's not always possible to have absolutely everything, but I do try my best for you guys. Anyway, I'm just finishing up the last dark purple one here, and then all 10 of them are done. And they look pretty cute to me. I'm going to start putting together the rest of the card, just a few little details. And I actually wanted to have the sentiment, "Happy birthday, you brighten my life," on the front. However, it didn't work out quite like I wanted it to. It didn't sit like I wanted it to. So I ended up putting the "You brighten my life" in the center of the card. And I might have changed that around. I might have just kind of cut it up and stacked that sentiment on the front if I had done it again, but that's okay. And then I'm going to, after stamping the happy birthday, I'm going to put on my fog layer. I have that light grey layer there that I'm going to add to my card base, and that is the same grey that the paint tubes are made out of. And I also embossed my card front. I'll put the link to the embossing folder down below. I lost that footage, so I'm sorry about that. Then I'm just going to start putting it all together. So I have my little happy birthday circle in the middle, and then I'm just going to start putting my little paint tubes around in rainbow color. And there are 10 paint tubes, which I actually didn't really plan, but it works out really well because I didn't use, any measuring to space these out. But if you kind of figure it out properly, then there will be the bright red one and the dark green one will be opposite each other. And then each color will have a color opposite it. So you can kind of line them up nice and evenly that way and still get them looking pretty good. So I'm just gluing down the happy birthday down flat. I don't want any dimension because I want the main focus to be on the little paint tubes, hence why I'm going to pop them up with some of Alina's foam tape. Now this is the wider one. I think this is I think it's 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter wide, so it fits perfectly behind these paint tubes, and I can just cut one long piece. So I'm going to put foam adhesive on all of them, and then I'm going to start sticking them down nice and evenly. Now, I don't know if you guys like seeing the bloopers that I make, but in a minute you are going to see a real doozy of a blooper that I made, and I left it in here because I hope it gives someone a smile or a laugh at my expense, because that is just what happens sometimes. But you'll see in a minute. I'm just taking off the adhesive and doing one paint tube and then doing the one opposite it so that I know that they're lined up with the opposite one of them, and that worked out pretty well. I think they look pretty even to me. Then I'm going to flip over my card panel and just cut off any of the excess hanging over. It kind of does make me sad to cut off some of the little paint tubes, but it ends up looking nice and neat for the card, so that's the main thing. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to, here's the lesson learned by the way, I'm going to adhere this down to my card base, which is fine. And as I said, I was going to have the "You Brighten My Life" sentiment in the kind of like on a strip across the front, but I felt like it took away from the paint tubes and things. So I'm going to put it right in the middle here using some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and then I just stamp it down nicely. It stamps beautifully, and I lift my ink pad up, and there you go. So that kind of ruined things. And for a moment you sit and go, really? Okay, so what I did do is, you can see I tore them apart. I literally tore the front off and it came off okay. But I've learnt my lesson. Before I adhere the second one back on, I'm going to stamp it and then very carefully put my ink pad away before I adhere the front of my card. So this is take two. At least I know that the glue sticks really well, because I did have a hard time separating it. And speaking of that glue bottle, the bottle is from AliExpress, and the glue inside of it is the Ranger Multi-Medium in the matte finished. And I did just release a tutorial on how to refill those bottles if you're interested. So that is, I think it's the video right before, or maybe two before this one, that I released. But a couple of finishing details onto my card here. So I am just going to put some tiny wee dots of glue, and I'm using some of these little clear gems from Alina, and I'm just using a wax pencil, which they are super cheap, from Amazon or eBay or AliExpress, anywhere you want to get them, and they work really well for picking up rhinestones and things. So I'm going to add a couple of those, and then to really make the paint tubes stick out, I am going to add some glossy accents, and this will make them nice and 3D. It will look, while I'm doing this, it'll make them turn kind of cloudy, milky color, but obviously they dry completely clear and with a nice shiny dimensional finish. You could also use the Nuvo Crystal Glaze or the JudiKins Diamond Glaze. They are pretty much the same product, and there are definitely other brands out there too. So if you have something else, go for gold and use that. But it really does create a nice finish to the card. So you can see here, I just go around the outline of the paint tube and then fill it all in with the glossy accents. This ended up being one of my favorite cards. I really love this card, even though I had an accident nearing the end. But that happens to everybody. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think of this video in the comment section down below. I really appreciate all of your comments, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next card. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.